Hey Booktube, Science Fiction Reads here with an impromptu book haul. I need to get these on the shelf and out of the way, so I decided to film this. Also, in my recent book haul, I teased just very quickly on the screen that I was going to have a review of Colin Wilson's The Space Vampires, which I filmed, I edited, and then decided it's just too long. Nobody wants to spend 30 or 40 minutes listening to a review of one book, so I'll either come at it from another angle, or I won't review that one, and I'll take it as a lesson learned for future one-off reviews. Anyway, I have half of these are kind of just random finds from a couple different trips to thrift stores and whatnot, but the other half is actually from Richard at Vintage SF. But let's leave those to last because they're probably the coolest. So first up, I just grabbed this a couple hours ago at a thrift store. It's Poul Anderson's The Long Night. I might have this in a box of Poul Anderson. I have, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 of his books up there, but many more in a box. So I've read one collection of short stories that involved the Van Ryn character. Did not really care for it, but I'm always willing to give it another try. And Poul Anderson's hit or miss with me anyway, so I was gonna say I pick his stuff up when I see it. I don't usually because I have so much of it, and I'm not sure what I have, but for like $1, why not? Similarly to that, an H. Beam Piper Space Viking. I found this somewhere a couple weeks ago. I have not read anything by him, maybe a short story in an anthology, but I have quite the growing collection. And that's because a lot of his stuff took place in a future history he kind of created, and I really like that kind of thing, so I suspect I'll like his stuff. If not, I'll have a bunch of his books to pass on to somebody. Space Viking, I believe, is an actual novel. Yeah, it's an ace book from 1963. Then a random John Brunner, a Del Rey, which had like an uncracked spine and, well, creased, but it's not terrible. Brunner is another one I haven't read much of, but I have quite the collection of his books growing. Yeah, Tides of the Time. I like Del Rey, one of my favorite Vintage SF publishers. Now, this is one I'll probably never read, but, you know, for $1 I picked it up. I've never read any Star Trek, but it was written by Greg Bear. I thought that might be a fun way to introduce myself to Star Trek someday. I did watch a couple of the Star Trek series in the 90s when my dad was watching it, but I can't imagine I would ever really get into it, but Greg Bear, why not? And then this was a total cover art purchase. This is an amazing magazine from November 1971. I just really liked the cover art, which I believe does illustrate one of the stories in here. And it says, In Memoriam, John W. Campbell. So there's something written up by Sam Moskowitz. So, I don't know, let's take a look inside. I'm toying around with the idea of framing some of these, which I kind of started with a couple different frames I have, just because they're so great and they spend all their time in a box. So we have Gordon Eklund, To End All Wars, W. McFarlane, Road Factory, and In Man's Image by Terry Carr, which is what the picture illustrates. I'll at least read that to check that out. And the Memoriam, John W. Campbell. Oh, yeah, I suspect that would be an interesting read as well. All right, and another find today. These were published by Orbit in the UK in the 90s. It's David Brin's, one of his Uplift trilogies. I'm sure I have these out of order, but Heaven's Reach. I wasn't sure if I had these or not because I never see these UK covers. So we've got Infinity's Shore, and I've read Sundiver, and can't think of the other one at the moment, but I really enjoyed the first few Uplift books, and Brightness Reef. which all have awesome cover art by, I would guess, Chris Moore. Fred Gambino. Fred Gambino is the artist. Now, it turned out I actually did have Brightness Reef and Infinity Shore. In editions I don't like as much, but they don't have cracked spines, whereas the new ones do. I'll probably keep these though, they're so much nicer to look at. And the last one I found today with those was something I have never read and never owned a copy of, which is Bram Stoker's Dracula. I picked this up because it's, you know, quite the nice looking copy. Published by Bedrick and Blackie. See, we're out of the science fiction genre, so I have no idea. Not familiar with the publisher. But the illustrations were done by Charles Keeping. Oh yeah. And with October coming up, it might be a good time to actually read it. So this was published in 1988, and I've never had a copy of Dracula. Something I need to read, so I'll be holding on to that. And then the rest here are all from Richard at Vintage SF. We did a little trade. I don't think he has mine yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got 6 here. So the first one is Alfred Bester's Starburst. And all of these are just copies or doubles that Richard had. I just got this as a book club edition, which a viewer commented that is actually, at least the book club edition, is 2 of his short story collections combined. But this Pan paperback, I don't think it's 2. I think it's just 1 collection. So it might have less stories than the hardcover. It might not. I haven't looked that up yet. I haven't actually looked at these at all. I thought it'd be fun to do it on video, but I usually cut out the part where I'm inspecting or reading the synopsis anyway. So I have read some Bester, really enjoyed it, and I wanted the paperback rather than the big hardcover. Then he sent, also from Pan, Christopher Priest's Inverted World, and I chose these. Unfortunately, I already had this copy, and I thought mine was rough. My copy is actually quite nice. It's from, I think it's Public Library. Yeah. Probably roughly the same age, but I think my copy is in better shape, so I'm not sure if I'll hold on to that one. I don't know why I thought mine was rough, although I do love this cover art much better. First published in '74, but the paperback is from '79. This one anyway. Yeah, I started this book twice in the past and couldn't get into it, but when the time is right, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. Then we have a Bob Shaw. I almost bought a different version of this today until I remembered that I was having this sent. Cosmic Kaleidoscope. I believe this is some Bob Shaw short stories. And Bob Shaw is not easy to find. I came across a different copy of this today and was quite surprised. So yeah, several short stories. I've read a couple Shaw novels, and I imagine I've come across his short stories before. All right, we have Brian Aldiss Nonstop. Maybe the first Brian Aldiss I read, and I absolutely hated it. But since then I've read more Aldiss and really enjoyed it, and on paper this should be something I enjoy. So having read it, I know a lot about it. I probably shouldn't explain too much. Yeah, I won't say anything because to really go into any detail is to spoil the main reveal, really. But this Pan copy is awesome. And it was years ago when I read this, so eventually I'll give it another try, and it will go to my growing collection of Brian Aldiss now that I've rediscovered him more recently. An SF masterwork. Richard just did a video with this particular book and author, The Paradox Men by Charles L. Harness. Maybe if I remember, I will post a link to his video because it certainly got me very excited to read this. Early cyberpunk elements in this, and it was first published, I believe, a short version was first published in 1949, so yeah, some vintage SF, but a little more big in its ideas for the time it was written. And the last two, from another author that is recently new to me that I really enjoyed. I read The Genocides, and as bleak and depressing as that was, I absolutely love that book. So I have, the last two books here are also from Thomas M. Dish, from Richard. These are pocket books, I believe. Yeah, pocket science fiction. This is The Puppies of Terra. A Human Pet's Escape from a Comic Paradise. Original title, Mankind Under the Leash. I love the old stamp in there. Yeah, I'm very curious to check out some more Thomas M. Dish. It's interesting. On the front it says A Human Pet's Escape from a Comic Paradise, but on the back it makes reference to a cosmic party. So there could be a typo on the front or the back. And rounding it out, we have Echo Round His Bones. This one takes place in the year of my birth, 1990, when the universe has witnessed the ultimate invention, a steel vault in which man and matter may be sent from Earth to Mars and back again. So it takes place in 1990, but written in, I think, 1969. That's pretty cool. I very much look forward to checking him out. So with that done, I can get them on the shelves. I've been doing some rearranging, taking things off the shelves, and kind of focusing more on vintage SF rather than some of the randoms that are on the shelf that don't really fit anymore now that my direction has kind of changed. I may give this another go because it's a weird book that I really enjoyed, but I was just frustrated with the way the video turned out, so I don't know if I want to commit the time to giving it another go. Otherwise, I will be back again next time with some recent reads and maybe some new books. Thanks for watching.